All right, man. Detroit Lions, they did it. They locked up home field advantage, won NFC North back to back. First time they won it was last year. So they won it back to back. They swept the division. They went undefeated. They went 6-0, beat the Packers twice, beat the Vikings twice, and beat the Chicago Bears twice. I believe the only two losses that Minnesota had in the division were to the Detroit Lions. It was an electric atmosphere. You could tell through the TV. It was a really, really good game. Um, Honestly, man, defense is what won it for them. I mean, it seemed like they picked something up on film that Darnold liked to hold the ball too long. Yeah, he liked to hold the ball too long, and they picked that up on the on the film. So they seen they like to hold on the ball too long, so they started blitzing them. They started sending pressure, moving him off the mark. Didn't let him use his legs today. Anazoni, he made the difference. But if I said it had to be an MVP, I know everybody will want to go with the 4 touchdowns because you scored a win. But I had to give it to Amick Roberts. I mean, he naturally better on the outside. And you got to remember the reason he ended up on the outside was injuries due to Las Vegas last year. And he held his own. He had one of the best picks I've seen this year or last year on Christian Watson from the Packers when they played them in Las Vegas last year, where he jumped up. And I mean, it was an amazing pick that he got off Christian Watson, man. I'm telling you, he jumped up to the stars. Um, uh, and he really was the difference maker tonight. What he was able to do, and that's what helped. What also helped him. What also helped him was, I'm gonna show y'all this picture real quick. It was the pick, man. You had to see it in like live motion. But what also helped him was playing slot all year. So it was nothing for him to follow Jefferson into the slot, which that might have been a little bit different for Davis had he been healthy. Terrion, who they saying was a foot injury, a lot of people speculating that's a high ankle sprain or something worse. But he played. I mean, honestly, they moved him to outside last week. He was the highest rated player on the field last week when they played the who did they play last week? The 49ers. So naturally, he may have the size of an inside corner, and it is a difference. If people don't understand, playing nickel is an acquired taste. If you can play nickel and outside, man, that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Because him playing nickel all year, now what they've done, if you haven't noticed, it looks like they've dropped Brian Branch back into the nickel due to injuries, Amick on the outside, and they put Melifano at safety. So, I mean, at some point you might get Emmanuel Mosley back. He was sick. Carlton Davis, he's still probably a couple weeks away, NFC Championship game with a broken jaw. Terrion, we have to wait and see. But they got a lot of depth there. Don't forget, Melifano could play outside corner. So they got a lot of depth there. And Anazoni, I mean, can't speak enough about him. I think we seen what he can do in coverage. He did a great job versus Hawkinson. I don't think Hawkinson is 100% back from that leg injury. It was one pass where I think Sam Darnold missed him and Kirby Joseph was lurking, and that might have been in the back of his head. And that's not Kirby Joseph's fault that, he's being taught to tackle guys low. That's what they tell him. I go high and, I get fined and all that type stuff. But defensively, I had to start off giving him a little. Amick Roberts was the overall MVP for me. Holding his own versus Jefferson. I mean, Terrion did an amazing job versus Jordan Addison. Anazoni did a great job. Jack was able to do what he do best. Cover the backs, roam around. Zadarius Smith brought it. Levon Zareke, he bought it. I mean, Josh Pascal, he bought it. He flexed into the inside. They started to get jiggy with it. So, if you look at the defensive line, it looked like a starting defensive line. When you talk about DJ Reader, Levon Zareke, Josh Pascal, and Zadarius Smith, that's better than most the average defensive line in the league. Now you throw Jack Campbell, Anazoni, Jalen Weeds-Maven, and you look at the secondary until Terrion got injured. I mean, it was Terrion, Amick, BB in the nickel, and F.A. Melifano and Kirby at safe. I mean, that's still pretty fucking solid, but Depth is where a team is building. Offensive, I mean, to start off the game, we got the ball. And for the most part, I didn't really like the game plan that Ben Johnson came off with. Van Kinkel, I like him a lot for the Vikings. He made a lot of plays. They do a great job. When you get an aggressive front, their whole defense is aggressive. When you talking about Harrison Smith, I mean, Harrison Smith, was playing when Calvin fucking Johnson was playing. I remember watching them at Notre Dame. Shout out to them for being in the playoffs too. They too aggressive to really like. Not only are they aggressive, which you want, like when you want to throw short screens or you want to throw screen passes. Yes, you want an aggressive defense, but they pursue smartly. So they're not just pursuing with aggression. They're thinking they're using smart aggression. So when they throwing them quick little screen passes and stuff like that, they looking to pick those. They looking to keep their hands up. So yeah, that's that. I think when you play the average aggressive defense, yes, you want to, throw screens, but that aggressive defense, boy, it was a couple of them that could have went back for 6 or could have got worse than what it was. No, he threw a pick. I forget the first pick he threw, but the other pick he threw was down to Jameson Williams. That was just a throwaway, and they just had somebody deep over Jameson. I mean, they made sure Jameson got us a 1K. They came out trying to run the ball versus an aggressive front. That's kind of where they missed Dave Montgomery this game at. Was, even seeing Craig Reynolds' style was a little bit, nice for them because he was able to be that battering ram for the Lions today that, Dave Montgomery usually is. He softened them up, and then Jahmyr Gibbs come in and lay the boom. So Jahmyr Gibbs, they did a great job defensively stopping him. They second in the league against the run. People didn't know that about Minnesota. But then what the Lions start doing is getting the ball to Gibbs in space. Next thing you know, they get him going outside the tackles on a stretch on a zone, and he gone. But for the most part, I just think they just made it was just not a good game plan that they had. They wanted to go with short hitter screens, and it just wasn't the move. I think just going to St. Brown over the middle and doing that, I think that was their best bet. But when you got pressure coming in the middle of your face, it's hard to throw to the middle. But overall, Goff wasn't horrible today in the second half. He got it together, but it was Jahmyr Gibbs, running it for the first touchdown. I think catching it for some other touchdown. I mean, he was the offense today, but when they was in doubt, I think one of the unsung heroes that really turned this offense around and made it a little bit more dangerous was Sam Laporta getting healthy. Laporta made, big third down catches, big catches. I mean, he looks actually healthy. He looks like Laporta from last year, and that's the same thing you've seen from Travis Kelce in Kansas City. He's looking like Kelce of usual. For some reason, everybody but Brock Bowers out of tight ends, everybody started to heat up towards the middle end of the season. Kelce, Laporta, what's the brother name in Miami? Juno Smith. I think that's a lot of them tight ends. For whatever reason it was, they started to heat up towards the end of the middle to end of the season. So Laporta has really gave them another wrinkle in the offense that they was missing. I know he was injured early on. Him and Jahmyr was injured early on, and now they leaning on him. I mean, Jameson Williams, he got 1K yards. He made some tough catches, but it was the Gibbs show on offense. Gibbs, Laporta, St. Brown, J-Mo. We had some injuries. Obviously, Terrion got injured. Herbert, see who that is. Zeifert got injured. Seemed like he pulled a hamstring. So we'll see where those injuries lie at right now. So they got a week to rest. So they got the rest of this week. For the guys that's injured, you got 2 weeks to rest. So I don't know if we could see Carlton Davis make a miraculous turnaround, with his jaw. You don't know with Terrion, if it's a high ankle sprain or foot sprain, that'd be interesting. Playing corner, that's dangerous. Ennis Rackstraw should be coming back. Emmanuel Mosley, he was ill, so you might see two of those guys come back. So it'll be interesting to see, how it lay down and play down. But for Minnesota, before I go over these stats, for the most part, the Lions just seen that Sam Darnold liked to hold the ball a smidget long, that he held the ball, and they picked up on that. He don't get the ball out of his hand fast. They got two of the most explosive receivers in down the field catches. So if they used to getting quick hitters or they used to throwing it down the field, he got to hold the ball a little bit longer, and they looking for the big play. Now the issue why they didn't find a big play like that is because they just never committed to the run tonight. They didn't run the ball enough, and they had success running the ball. I mean, they had the long run as soon as Aaron Jones left the locker room with Cam Akers on the backside cut off the stretch zone run. He just cut it back. So, I mean, they had 120 yards between Darnold, Jones, and Akers. Akers had 58 of his 65 on 6 carries on that one run. Aaron Jones was steady. They didn't even really consistently try to run the ball. That's where they lost the game at in Minnesota. They didn't try to run the ball. You know, they did not try to run the ball with any type of consistency. I felt they should have ran the ball more. If you run the ball more, I think you started to break some. They came out here, threw the ball 41 times, ran it 19 times. It's not the recipe for success, but Darnold did take care of the football. Now, Goff threw it 33 times, only had 6 incompletions. That's crazy. 2 sacks. They both were sacked twice, but the difference was we ran it 31 times. And that was no quarterback runs, obviously. It was almost a 50-50 split and a 50-50 split as far as, pass to run. And for them, they come on. What was it? 75-25? You ain't going to win that way, man. Honestly. Without that run game, you don't give your defense time to recover. I mean, Jefferson still had 54 yards. Jalen Naylor had 53 yards. Aaron Jones caught 5 for 30. That's pretty much what Addison was non-existent. You start looking, Amon-Ra had 77 yards and 6 catches. Laporta, 7 catches, 63 yards. I mean, Jameson, 6 catches, 34 yards. So he got over 1,000 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 31 yards. So, it was the balance. They had no turnovers on Minnesota. We had 2 and still won. And the difference was how we locked down in that red zone. How we locked down in that red zone was the difference. We locked it down in the red zone. And it wasn't nothing they can do. They played man to man. I think they're used to a lot of teams playing zone with, the receivers that they got, and that Sam Laporta's ability to, or not Sam Laporta, but Sam Darnold's ability to move. A lot of teams, play zone, and we play man to man tonight, and it worked for us. So I feel like Minnesota lost the game because they failed to run the ball, and that translated in the red zone. We won the game because of our defense and, Jahmyr Gibbs and offense making adjustments. So it was a good game. NFC North champs 2 years in a row. First 2 times doing that because it used to be the Central Division long ago. Home field advantage. They need the rest. So we'll see who else come back healthy, whether it's going to be hopefully Terrion and Seifert is okay. Whether it's Emmanuel Mosley, whether it's, Ennis Rackstraw, we need help there. But Anzoni was, the second runner-up MVP. I mean, we've seen why he's so important in his cover skills. So, we will face the worst seed that wins. The lowest seed that wins, that's who we'll face. So, Green Bay upside Philly, that's who we playing. So if Tampa lose to Washington, we probably play Washington. And then we see what happened with, Minnesota having to go to LA, and they already lost LA in LA. So we'll see. So, yeah, man, it was a hard-fought game, man. They played their hearts out. So let me know what you guys think. Hit the hit the link tree. Find me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Kick, Twitch, the whole 9. I appreciate y'all for supporting me, man. Check out my other channels. Check out the Detroit Lions post-game reaction playlist, Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Appreciate the love and support. Peace.